Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dukes of Gaming. I'm your host, Thomas, and it's good to be here with you all this week talking about video games. First and foremost, let me introduce my fellow Dukes of Gaming. First and foremost, we have the Duke of Nostalgia. How are you, Taylor?
Doing great. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, reading Shakespeare in manga format, so I'm having a good time.
Of course you would be doing that.
Yes, it's a totally me thing, Duke of Anime. You already know. How are you doing? We have the Duke of Education to my bottom right. How are you, Alfredo?
I'm doing great. It's February, so my wallet is not very happy with me this month, but I'm
None
happy
of
because
ours
lots of
is.
games.
Yeah, ebbs and flows of a
Alfredo.
gamer.
Already? We haven't even hit the busy season yet. We
Yeah,
haven't even gotten to the end of February.
Look, we're how many games in now? We got
One?
Sifu tomorrow.
Two,
I
three.
just got Dying Light. Pokemon Arceus came out, but I refused to buy that because I let my wallet rest. So we're in it. We're in it.
Well, these games will be here even after the release date.
I
So
can't
there's
wait that
that.
long. How dare you even insinuate that I can wait? I don't have willpower.
Cole, can you wait? We have the Duke of Rocket League to my right-hand corner. How are you doing, Cole? Can you wait for some of these games, or are you paying for them off top?
I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. That's for sure.
Oh man,
You're gonna be waiting. Oh, buddy, you're gonna be waiting.
You don't gotta pay at 70 for a long time.
Trust me. I'm with Rockstar. It's
Might
just
be 80 by
a
that
waiting
time.
game.
Yeah.
This will be the best month this year in gaming, I think. Destiny, the Witch Queen, Elden Ring, Horizon, Sifu, and we just got Pokemon.
That's not a bad bet. That's not a bad bet. And Dying Light. Okay, we'll
It'll
get to
be
that
the
one
best.
later.
Yeah,
We'll get to
Dying
that.
Light. This is the best month of the year, I think.
We'll see. We'll see. And of course, we have the Duke of Design. How are you, Ben?
I'm good. It's been a big week. It has been a big week, which we can talk about. But I'm doing great, and I'm very excited to be entering into what I think is going to be. I think you're right, Cole. I think this will be the most wonderful month of the year, game-wise.
Yes, I think so
I'm very
too.
excited about that.
Excellent. Now, every single week we start our show with what have we been playing this week?
Did Clams go? You forgot
Yes.
Clams. Oh,
You're
no,
You're
always
always
no.
looking out for me. You're always looking out for me.
I
You're
got
a real-
to look out for you.
That's a real friend right there.
It is.
So, I guess Alfredo, you can start. What have you been playing this week?
What have I wasn't ready to go first, but that's what I got for interrupting. Anyway, so I've been playing 2 games. More than 2 games because of February, obviously. But the 2 games I want to talk about is one Kingdom Hearts game that's called Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Chain of Memories, which is the Game Boy Advance spin-off game. And then I've been playing Dying Light 2, Staying Human. Dumb subtitle name, but hey. So first I'll talk about Kingdom Hearts for a little bit because it's Kingdom Hearts and I love it so much. So hot off the heels of our Kingdom Hearts 1 Ben's Book Club, which you should be able to find in the next coming weeks. So don't worry about that, where we do a deep dive into Kingdom Hearts 1. I decided that I wanted to play more Kingdom Hearts because I had such a great, nostalgic, wonderful time. So I decided, having the Kingdom Hearts collection and never touching one of the games within it called Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, that I was going to finally play the game. Well, finally finish the game, because I have started it before and probably only made it about 30 minutes to an hour in and decided I'm not doing this. I hate this battle system. I hate what it's trying to do, so I'm not playing it. So since last year was the year of the backlog and I completed so many games that I have been pushing off, I decided to try to continue that trend this year with this game. So I am at the final boss of Sora's final boss, which I know it's the final boss because Goofy and Donald told me, "Hey, it's the final boss. You need to say." And
I forgot
Nice
about
of
that.
right, classic video game logic. So I'm at the final boss, and I can't wait to finish this game so I never have to play it again. My God, I still hate the battle system. I hate the card system. I'm playing on proud mode for some god awful reason because it is so hard just because of the way that this card system works. So basically, in Kingdom Hearts, to keep it short, Kingdom Hearts is a hack and slash game typically. Chain of Memories is still hack and slash, but they implement this really, really weird card system to it where you basically have a deck of cards that have different values and do different things, but it's kind of like a card value 1 through 9, and 9 cards that are 9 will be 1 cards. So that's the basic premise. And the enemies will have a card deck, you'll have a card deck, and you basically have to cancel out each other's card deck by having higher numbers than them. So in order to attack, you have to have cards, and it relies on this pseudo hack and slash nature, and I hate it so much. I'm just struggling so much in this game. It's not fun to play this card game when I'm just trying to hack and slash and enjoy these Disney worlds. I don't care for the added complexity of it. But yeah, that's the game, and I'm trying to get through it. Thomas told me that it
Now,
was better on Game Boy Advanced, right? Is that what you
Mhm.
said?
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm playing
So,
on PS4, PS5. So I'm struggling.
so I wanna throw. Look, pretend this is red. Pretend this is football. I'm throwing the challenge flag.
Okay. Mhm.
So I'm gonna take this segment over and turn this into a mini reminisce because I have
Okay.
great memories of Chain of Memories. I played this game when it first came out. My grandma took me to the mall and she bought this game for me. No one ever used to buy me video games. I always had to kind of buy them myself. My grandma bought me this video game, so I cherished it. I got through as much as I could, and I hit a wall. This game was hard as a kid, could not get through it.
Still
I
is.
remember it's still hard, yeah, I can imagine. So I remember at church, I brought my Game Boy, which we're not supposed to do. And my friend Trey, shouts out Trey, he said, I can help you beat the game. Let's just like skip out. Let's just go to the back choir room. Let's hope nobody catches us and we're gonna beat this game together. And we beat that game together. We got through we got through like 4 hours of it that
Oh,
day.
dang.
So I have it was honestly like a co-op game in that sense, even if it's like single game you could possibly have.
Hmm.
I had a this game was not,
Oh,
so
I
I
think we're
can't
losing
speak.
you,
To, I
Thomas.
can't, you
We
losing
lost
me?
your audio a little bit,
Can
but
you still hear me?
yeah, we can hear you now. There you go.
Okay. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game, but I was 9, so I can't speak to its
Fair,
quality now.
fair. What I will say about this game is that it is ridiculously hard only because of the card system, but you can easily also because of the way the card system is structured, you can easily cheese all of the bosses. Like you can just spam basically unblockable attacks specifically for the bosses. So it's weird because it's hard for like the regular battles, but and the bosses, but for the bosses there's a workaround to it. So, it's a give and take. I don't like how it's balanced. I don't like the card system. I just want to finish it so I can finally play the rest of this great series that everyone knows it is. Also, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, I'm supposed to know what's going on. And I really feel like this is the start of the downfall of convolution because every cutscene, me who knows the lore of Kingdom Hearts, I'm going like, what are you talking about? Like they are not explaining anything at all. They're just acting like it's basically structured that it's a mystery of what's going on, but it's happening for 15 hours where they're just not saying what's going on at all. It's ridiculous. I
The
digress.
weird thing is it's basically Kingdom Hearts 2. like
It
it theoretically is because you cannot play Kingdom Hearts 2. Like I don't
You
understand how
can.
you
I did. You can
But,
totally
like-
just go to Kingdom Hearts 2.
yeah, you can, but this is integral to the story. Like it literally makes the first 2 hours of Kingdom Hearts 2 make sense. Even
That's
though the whole story doesn't make sense at all.
I will
In
say
the realm of Kingdom Hearts, it makes sense.
that's fair, but Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix does a great job at basically covering the gap of what happened. They don't exactly tell you what happened, but you don't need to know. This whole story seems inconsequential, to be honest, because Kingdom Hearts 2 does a better job explaining what's happening, basically. But I don't want to talk about this game because it sucks anymore. So I'm going to talk about Dying Light 2, my first impressions of the game, because Dying Light 2 just came out. And I've been playing I'm probably about 10 to 12 hours in. So I played single player. I've also played multiplayer with my good friend, Eduardo Armenta. Shout out to you. And just a brief history of my time with this game. Dying Light 1, I was a huge fan of. I first got the game when I was in college, and it was the first game that got me into first person, not shooters, but first person games, because it is a parkour, Mirror's Edge type of game where you're basically doing parkour zombies. So think of The Walking Dead, but you're parkouring all over the place with zombies everywhere. You're getting chased by zombies. It's a good time. So the first game was more or less a cult hit, like a sleeper hit. The community loved what they got. The parkour was amazing. The story wasn't amazing, but it was good enough for a zombie story. And it was fun. It allowed you to do 4-player co-op for the entirety of the story. And that was pretty rare in terms of what this kind of game used to offer, because it would only be single player games like Mirror's Edge where you can parkour. Now you could do it with friends. So game was good. I wanted more. They took I want to say like a decade. I think the original game came out in 2013. This game finally came out just now, and people basically have been waiting for more of the same. I wanted more of the same, just like, improve it to modern 2022 kind of gameplay, graphics, all of that. And my first impressions are that this game delivers. This is exactly what I wanted out of the sequel so far. It's incredibly fun. I didn't get the chance to play this game before day one patch came out, so I'm playing it with the day one patch, and I am running into very, very few bugs. I have maybe a total in the 12 hours that I've played so far. I've only run into very minor bugs such as, oh, the quest marker like isn't loading properly, I might just have to go out of my game and come back in. That happened like one time.
No crashes or anything?
No crashes at all have
What
happened.
are you playing on?
I'm playing on PS5. My friend is also
Yeah.
playing on PS5, but
Okay.
we got a gigantic day one patch, which was like 25 gigs. So it was pretty hefty. So I think that they fixed a lot of things because I have not run into any serious game breaking bugs so far, luckily. And I have just been having the best time, the most fun time running from zombies. It's more of the same. If you loved the first game, you're gonna love this game. The story is so far, I'm not very far in the story because the world is so fun that we've just been doing more of side missions and like just parkouring around the place. So I haven't gotten too far, but from what I have done of the story, it is intriguing enough that I'm like, oh, okay, there's a lot of drama going on, but I'm interested. Like, it's not boring so far. So it's keeping me engaged there. The side activities are pretty fun. And the multiplayer is not phenomenal, but way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, really, really difficult to be able to play with multiple people. It's not. It's streamlined. Crafting weapons is fun. Everything about this game is super fun. So it is more of the same that you got in Dying Light 1. But if you like that, definitely see into getting this game because it's awesome. Any questions, class?
One. I have one. Is the story, and tell me if it doesn't make sense. If this is the story more HBO or CW?
That's a great question. So I'll have to follow up with you next week when I get farther
Okay.
in the story. But
Cool.
so far, the story is definitely not HBO, but it leans toward CW. It does lean toward CW, but it's more in the middle of those two so
Okay.
far.
Fair
So
enough.
far.
Does it take
AMC.
itself seriously?
Yeah, AMC. No, it is better than AMC, I will say.
Okay.
AMC is Breaking Bad.
I don't like
AMC got
Breaking
some-
Bad, but we're not going to talk about that.
We're a gamer podcast, but that's heresy.
How was the performance for you?
Graphically, game wise, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's very good. Okay, let me not say that. It's better than I thought because a lot of the reviews of people playing this game have been saying it's buggy, it's crashy, game performance is bad. But for this game, for what I've experienced, the performance is very good. I might have some issues with. Well, no, I was going to say I might have some issues with some gameplay, but stepping into the gameplay a little bit, in the beginning, you feel incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. But the way that the RPG skill tree structure is set out definitely leans to making you becoming a badass. I'm not very far in it yet, but they do block some basic things that you think you would get, like climbing speed. Like you're so slow in the beginning. Like you can't sprint in the beginning. There's no way you can sprint. You got to get that through, skill points. There's just some basic things there that I wish you
can't
had in the
sprint?
beginning. You can't sprint unless you unlock it, but you're kind of sprinting all the time, but you can't L3 click to like burst sprint like you're used to until you
Okay.
unlock it.
Okay.
But yeah. But
Cool.
but the gameplay wise, very, very good. What's interesting and how it differs from the first one is that in the first Dying Light, you were incredibly scared of being in the dark. Nighttime was completely deadly. Like if you found yourself at night, you would have to run to hell like safety, and it felt incredibly hard, incredibly challenging. It was filled with tension. This game, minor spoilers, but not really because it's kind of in the title. Everybody in the town that you're playing at is already infected, and they switch the game to where it is still more deadly at night when you come out, but instead you're always playing against a timer. So until you turn into a zombie, basically. So if you're in the dark, then you have a timer clicking down until you turn. So by the time that timer hits 0, you need to make sure you are in safety. You are in it is daytime or daylight, or you need to be like a UV light in order to not turn into a zombie. So it makes it a little less tensionless because you aren't really that scared to go out at night. But it's just an interesting choice that they made, that nighttime used to be deadly, whereas this time you're kind of is still a big giant playground that you're in, but you got to be careful of your timer, whether or not it's day or night, so that you don't turn into a zombie and lose. So interesting change in dynamic, but it's still very fun.
Interesting.
Are you playing with like 60 FPS, or are you playing with ray
Yep.
tracing on?
Yep, I'm playing in performance mode. It does offer
Cool.
I think 3 different modes, kind of like Spider-Man. So you have performance mode, performance plus, and then graphics mode. I'm playing in performance mode. I believe all of them. I want to say all of them play in 60 though. Don't quote me on it. I need
So
to
this
check.
there's really no survival element to it, like, because that was the appealing part about the last game, was the fear at night, and I feel like that takes away from the game, not having that.
Yeah, there definitely is a survival element to it, in that the timer, you don't want to turn into a zombie, so you're always making sure, okay, I only have 2 minutes left until I turn into zombie, and I need to get in and get out of this specific place in 2 minutes. And in multiplayer, it's even more scary because you're playing in multiplayer. The time can never be paused because you're playing with somebody else. So you don't have time to, I gotta craft this weapon or add this mod like when you're out in the field. It's like, no, we gotta grab this and then we gotta run. So it just changes the dynamic a little bit. I do like it. I did like the original concept of night was basically the end all be all. I did like that a little better, but this definitely helps to differentiate the 2 games and make it stand on its own. And so far, I'm liking it.
Cool.
But yeah,
That's
good.
dope.
Dying Light 2 is a good game. Bugs have been all but fixed. It's definitely not something like a Cyberpunk kind of bug riddled game that I thought I would be getting. They did a good job for how big this game is. So everyone should. I would definitely recommend it if you are interested in this type of gameplay.
You heard it here first. Got Alfredo recommendations. Go
It's
ahead
true.
and get it.
Don't watch Breaking Bad though. That show sucks.
Okay.
Oh my
You
god.
say so.
I feel offended.
Hey, I
Taylor,
watched all
what-
5
You
seasons.
You just don't
Just
like
saying.
meth. You just admit your biases. You just don't.
You're
you've been-
anti-meth. You're anti-meth.
Come on.
No
That
comment.
show is
No
that's my
comment.
goat show.
What a noob. What a noob against meth in 2022. Come on.
No comment.
Anti-bald too.
What? That's just false.
Mm.
I have to step up. Anyway, who
Anti-cancer?
else
What?
wants to
You
go?
don't like cancer?
Anti-cancer.
I mean, yeah.
Anti
Nobody
Jesse.
likes
Oh
him.
my god, man. Oh man. Taylor, what have you been playing this week?
I have just been playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, trying to get to the end. Thomas, how does it feel to be right that it is indeed the fastest selling Pokemon game?
I'm Nostradamus. What can you say?
What do you know? I'm getting close to the end game now, and I can say for at least the first half of the game really holds up. It's really a solid game. But later into the game it starts to crumble in on itself. It's not bad. It never becomes bad. Never becomes as bad as other Pokemon games, but it does start to slog. The gameplay mechanics do start to feel a bit not repetitive, but no, repetitive.
That was my thought process too when I've seen it. Where I've seen videos where I'm like, this looks like it would be cool for 10 hours. And then
Yeah.
like after that, I'm like, all right, so I gotta catch a Psyduck, another Psyduck who knows how to do quick attack. Is that kind of how it is?
No, not really. You kind of just start to storm through the game and just start catching Pokemon like crazy. which is still fun. It's still fun, and there's still challenging moments, but they become farther and few in between. You start to get over leveled very fast by the end of the game. At least I think so, because I think the final zone kind of matches you up with your level, and you actually have a bit of a challenge. I only just got there, and it seems a little bit harder than the last two zones, which I just sort of swept through. But yeah, it's a good game. It still makes me. I couldn't go back to another Pokemon game right now. I couldn't pick up any other Pokemon game because this is end all better than all of them. Without a doubt. It feeds off of all of Pokemon's good ideas that it's had in every single version of a game, whether that be Red and Blue, Coliseum and XD, and or Pokemon Snap. Kind of pulls from all of that. The side missions have gotten me a lot of fun. I've been wasting my time a little bit too much with the side missions. They're cute. All of the side missions are cute. A kid gets kidnapped by a Pokemon. You gotta go find her. You have to find the hairdresser one Pokemon because she wants to see its hair. Like that's all cute little
Very
filler
different quests.
filler nonsense. I kind of wish those quests were more scattered around the map. I guess I kind of wish I could be wandering an empty zone, bump into a character, and sometimes you do, but not that much. I wish there were more moments that felt really impactful in the field, in the actual open world part of the game, where you bump
More
into someone
organic.
and yeah, more organic. I wish I bumped into
Yeah.
someone. They're like, "Oh, I lost my Pichu. It ran away. Can you go find it for me?" And you go do it and get it back. And yeah, I wish because all of the quests, or at least like 80% of the quests, are kind of concentrated in the main hub of the game.
Did you ever
Okay.
find? Do they have different towns, or no?
There are 2 different towns on the map, and that's only because you are technically explorers and you're on some ancient holy ground, and the 2 tribes that have lived there for a long time have little settlements. But they're kind of tucked away on the map because they don't like outsiders.
Do all the
So
So
buildings
you're like
look the
Christopher
same?
Columbus, essentially.
You're a little bit like
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus. The natives are a lot happier with you though, because you're saving them from the noble Pokemon, which are these still cool boss fights. Still cool boss fights. I gotta give Nintendo credit or Pokemon credit for adding boss fights because they're still pretty fun and challenging. They're the only part of the game that's like really like stuck out to me as that's something new and much more difficult than other Pokemon games. So
Excuse me, Poke Skeptic, Duke of
Yep,
Education
yep,
here. I
yep,
have a question.
Uh,
Would you recommend this game to someone like me who is not necessarily a Pokemon fan?
yes, with like the caveat of don't go in expecting the most impressive story because and it might just be the translation team. I know Pokemon has a very small translation team for an international game of such magnifique epic proportions. But like the dialogue is so boring. It's especially later in the game. Again, like other games, like at the beginning of the game, it's just sort of constant, but it dwindles fast, and you start playing the actual game. But then every single time you finish a mission, you go back and you have like conversations with people, and it's just slogs. It's just
is there a way to play in Japanese?
Yeah, but it would be text. It wouldn't be.
Oh, text too. So there's no
voice
verbal?
acting. There's no voice acting.
Oh, there's not. Okay.
No.
Oh.
Your character does go ooh
Wee! When they get like slammed.
Yes,
by a
yeah,
boss.
your character does have voice acting. Technically, it's the first very, very, very small step into voice acting.
We'll take
But
it.
That's
yeah,
sound
we'll take it.
acting.
Yeah. It's still a very good game, all things said and done. I'm enjoying it. I'm seeing flaws. The graphics just get worse and worse, honestly. Like
Oh.
they finished the first part of the game looked gorgeous, and then they kind of just sort of gave up by the end. And because I was like, oh, the trailers made it look so much worse than it actually is. And I will say, playing in handheld mode, the graphics look better than on docked mode, but they do start to look like really bad GameCube models by the end of the game. All the environment assets, at least the actual Pokemon characters, still remain pretty damn good for the amount
Best they've
of
ever been,
amount.
right? That's what you said
Oh
last
yeah,
week, right?
100% best they've ever been, because they clearly put the time and effort into making the Pokemon feels lively. I don't know. That's really all I got to say. Is I'm getting close to the end, and I'm starting to notice the rough edges more and more, but I still believe without a valley of a doubt that this is the best Pokemon game ever made. Which
Right
isn't
now it
saying
has
much.
Right now it has an 84 on Metacritic. Would you agree with that rating?
84 or 94?
84.
Yeah, 84 sounds about right. That doesn't sound too far fetched. I've seen people giving it 10 out of 10s and stuff like that. I'm like, nah, it doesn't deserve that. It definitely deserves more praise than every other Pokemon game, though. And you know what? Again, I'm really excited for the future of Pokemon, like Pokemon Legends Mew, Pokemon Legends Zygarde, and there's so many like Pokemon does a good job of lore building in the background, a pretty substantial job of like history lore building, like pretty long stuff in the past, and they got a lot of options to play with. They've given themselves the perfect vehicle for new Pokemon games like this, and I can't wait. I hope if it's the best selling game, please Game Freak, keep making games like this. Get better each time, keep doing it, and I'll stick with you. You go back to the old formula, it's I'm out, you know?
Fair enough. Now me, Ben, and Cole are linked in one of our games. So I guess I'll go and do one of the other game that I was playing first. I have been playing Uncharted, the Thieves Collection.
Nice.
Specifically Lost Legacy. I am really enjoying this game. I played maybe 2 hours of it when it first came out and just never went back to it. I don't know. I guess I played it really close to when I played like a game that was, I think, Tomb Raider. And so I was just kind of burnt out on that style of game. I didn't want to climb anymore. You know, this janky shooting isn't appealing to me right now. I don't know. So I waited a while for it, and then once they announced this collection, I remember we all kind of reacted to the PlayStation Showcase, and we all said, "They're selling this $50? What?" But they did not reveal that it was going to be $10 just to upgrade if you already own the games. So I upgraded for $10, got an Uncharted movie ticket as well, so I'm going to go see that next week.
Nice.
And truth be told, Lost Legacy might be my favorite Uncharted game. It might just be.
That's good.
Chloe is a great protagonist.
Best girl.
Yeah, that's arguable. I think that Nadine.
No, it's not. But go ahead.
It's arguable. I think Nadine is a great like Sully role where she's like on the side, but she's still contributing heavy to the plot. I really like Sam in the game as well. I like that it takes place in the same storyline as 4, but it takes place with enough time from it where it kind of feels like its own thing. So it doesn't feel like you have to, even if you haven't played Uncharted 4, it's not something you really have to play. I think the gunplay and this is the best gunplay this series has ever had, just because it's a little different from 4 because there's a lot more swinging involved, and there's a lot like I think the level design is just a lot better than 4 because there weren't that many open areas in 4 that I can recall. I remember 4 was a very linear experience. This one has a lot more. It's more open world ish. If you all played The Last of Us, everybody who's played The Last of Us Part 2?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the opening area of Seattle? Like when you're with Dina on the horse?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this game, for like half of it, is essentially that. Where you are basically in this, I forgot what part of the world they're in, but you're in this like Amazon-like place, a lot of trees, and you have the truck. and you're just able to
Right.
drive around and complete the quest as you go, kind of in an open world style. And you'll encounter different combat situations where you have a big like open space to work in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought was pretty janky combat and pretty janky play actually very improved just due to the 60 frames per second, which is I've
that's
never
what I was going to ask.
experienced.
Like how much you thought it was the 60 frames that made the difference.
I think it really did make the difference for me because I mean I completed Uncharted 4 maybe twice, and last time was like 2017, and I like it, but going back to it, it's kind of hard because it just looks like a PS4 game. This looks like a legit PS5 game, like bar none. Like I was playing it when my friends was over. He's like, "Oh, this is a new Uncharted game." I'm like, technically, not really, but it looked that amazing. Like this is not just an upscale. It's not a full-on remake per se, but this is one of the best looking PS5 games, bar none. Mostly because Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy already look great. So giving them this extra fidelity, it runs at 4K. I'm running it just a regular performance mode, which is upscale 4K and 60 frames. There is a fidelity mode that runs at native 4K and 30 frames, and a performance plus mode that runs at 1080p at 120. I haven't tested out that mode yet because I don't feel like playing in 1080, but I've had a great time with this. Highly recommended. One of the best PlayStation 4 games and one of my favorite PlayStation 5 games so far. So
Nice.
yeah. And then the other game I've been playing was 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Ben has kind of touched on it. If you like Evangelion, if you like something like Steins Gate, this is right up your alley.
Oh no. I don't like
wait.
both.
Oh no!
Either one?
I haven't tried Evangelion, but I definitely do not like Steins Gate. So I'm gonna have to pass.
So do you not like the Steins Gate anime or the visual novel?
The anime.
Okay. Have you tried the visual novel?
I have not.
I would say
hated the anime.
I would say the visual novel's worse, in my opinion. I tried playing it.
I've only played the visual novel.
The visual novel, it just goes way too long. Like I remember I played like maybe 8 hours of the visual novel. And I feel like I got through those 8 hours in 4 episodes of the anime. I'm just like, geez, this is dragging.
The visual novel is very long, but I think the upside of that is that you get much more investment in the characters by the time things start getting really weird.
One of these days I'll go back. And I've tried watching it like 3 different times. Couldn't do it.
Well, it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. It's more so just the time travel aspects of it are very like Steins Gate-esque. I agree with you because I didn't like a lot of the characters in Steins Gate. It's nothing like that. Like I actually like the characters in this a lot. I think that there is some really great writing here. I like that, it really is kind of capturing the different eras of Japan, depending on what year you're in. I'm at like 4 hours in, having a really good time with it. It's my nighttime game where I'm just laying back in bed, just like playing. I put on easy mode, so I don't have to deal with, going through thinking about the combat. So yeah, I'm having a great time with it.
Cool.
But I've also been playing, and so has Ben and Cole. I've been playing a little indie game called, or former indie game.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Called
A little
Destiny 2. Oh man. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if you had asked me the best experience of last generation and this generation so far, or let's just say PS4. Wait, was Destiny on PS3?
No.
It was.
It was a cross
Destiny
release.
1.
It was a cross. It was on both.
Okay. So if you asked me my like top 5 experiences, I would have forgot about Destiny. But I would have been amiss because my hours played, it's like my third most played game on PS4. But when you remind me Destiny, I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. It was incredible. I really enjoyed the experience. And Destiny 2, I played the campaign when it first came out. Probably put 150, 200 hours into it, and then kind of went on. But this new content is incredible. And now I will say the downside, which I think a lot of people say, is it's just hard to get back into. It is just Ben has been Sherpaing us through it, which has been incredible. And we probably would not have stuck with it, Thomas. I don't think if we didn't have him.
No, I agree with you. And
Or
Ben
a friend,
has
or
been
another
like,
friend.
anybody used to use Microsoft Word like back in the
The
early
paperclip.
20s.
He's our
Yeah,
paperclip.
Ben's been the paperclip.
Yeah.
He's
So
been the paperclip.
Hopefully, a little less annoying than Cliffy.
Oh, for sure.
I mentioned,
I like the paperclip.
but yeah. So the thing is, though, I feel like that is a little bit too harsh, though, because if you jumped into any MMO, you'd have that problem. But it just feels weird because Destiny's not. It's a shooter, so you think of it as a shooter, and it should be light and easier to get into, but it's not. It's a games as a service. Almost, I think it's very close to MMO. So I feel like that's kind of the disconnect for people. It's like, oh, Destiny's so complicated to get into. Well, so is World of Warcraft, and so is Final Fantasy 14. I'd argue it's probably the same.
Yeah.
But it just feels weird with the first person shooter because we're just not used to it. But the gameplay is incredible. The story, the production value on I started Forsaken, and it was awesome. The opening scene and everything with Cade and all that.
Fight scenes. So
yeah.
cool.
It was awesome.
I will say with the cutscenes, they look worse than the actual gameplay. Like there's a graininess to them that like is
like
not present in the. Yeah, I was kind of like taken aback.
I like the graininess to it.
But
it looked fine to me, but I was like, I'm at a place where the cutscenes look great, but the game itself looks even better, which is it's usually the reverse.
The environments are unbelievable. They're so grand and incredible, and the graphics are amazing. The gameplay is the best. I don't think there's first person shooter gameplay that's better. I just don't. At Call of Duty, Halo, I don't think any of it compares to Destiny. Now, I know Thomas.
I would argue Halo does specific things better, but I appreciate a lot of the things that Destiny does really well.
But
I think Destiny's gunplay is really good, really good.
And Call of Duty is like very twitchy and very fast. So, I mean, it's good in that respect. But like the gameplay of the classes and like the multiplayer gameplay, like when we're all playing and I'm throwing down the healing rift and you all are using it, and we have all our different supers and everything. It's so fun. It's awesome. And then we did the dungeons, which are incredible. They're like the mini raids. That's where Destiny shines, is that kind of stuff. Even the campaign has gotten so much better, but Destiny shines with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it was interesting, kind of walking you guys through the, I don't know, on-ramping you to a degree onto the game, and us doing a dungeon so early. I've walked a few other friends, I should say, we should probably say this every episode, just for the sake of disclosure.
Yeah, we should. We
So that
we should.
FCC doesn't breathe down our necks if we ever start making money. And that is that I work for Bungie, and Destiny 2 is the game that I work on. So I, take any and all of this with a grain of salt. I'm not going to talk about anything, beyond just our fun experience playing the game. What we did last week, but again, take it all with a grain of salt.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should probably just bake that into my intros as Duke of Design.
We'll just record. We'll just take that clip and put it before everything.
Every single time.
Yeah. I do say it a lot, but I should make a routine of it. So yeah, it was interesting walking you through, you guys through the early game, and I fully agree with players who feel like, when they are first jumping into Destiny 2, like, what do I do? Where do I go? There's so much, this information overload. I don't know. I think that there's kind of a unique challenge there to on-ramp players onto a game that is so big and has been around for such a long time. and I think we could do more. And these are things that I'm thinking about for my work, because some of my work overlaps with that problem. So and just having been a new player, just last year, I totally agree with that sentiment. It was difficult for me to get on ramped into the game. But the fun we had in that dungeon so early into the experience, I think helps clinch this idea that, like, okay, this is what Destiny is about, right? You can grind Crucible for hours, or you can chase bounties all day, but that collaborative spirit, having to communicate and play intentionally with your friends, that kind of thing, to overcome challenging but unique obstacles in the case of a dungeon specifically, is really where I have personally found a lot of the most fun and interest in playing the game. So like playing that with you guys early on, I think was actually a pretty good experience, even though dungeons are typically thought of as like higher end content, higher level content. So yeah, that's
I thought the difficulty of the dungeon was perfect too, because we didn't breeze through it, but we didn't get caught up enough to where we're frustrated. Like the one part that we had a tough time with was the platforming part, and but it was awesome though. It was really fun. We were laughing about it and stuff, and like Thomas got stuck behind and he almost made it and he fell down. I remember seeing his little character just twisted and trying to make
during the traversal section.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Hey, is his screen frozen?
Yes, he doesn't think it's funny.
He was offended.
I was watching Thomas. I was like, "Damn, man, he doesn't
think we
think
might
this
have
is
lost him
funny."
on audio,
I think I
too.
pissed him off. I was like, he
Yeah.
must have been really mad with this.
Thomas was a little traversally challenged during our
Yeah.
dungeon experience. He hasn't quite gotten the hang of the warlock jump.
But you know what else too about that is this pacing. That pacing of that dungeon was awesome because it kind of gave us a break from the combat, because the combat is so intense and so intense. I just heard Thomas laugh, and but
I do want to hop in real quick because I actually have been playing too, but all the Dukes hate me, so I've been playing by myself. Oh, I think he's trying to say something.
He's coming back.
He's coming back. I'll keep going. So yeah, I've been playing Destiny 2 as well, and I was playing a character that I had made. Hey, Thomas.
It's going great. This is going great.
I'm just gonna put it on mute for a second.
Me. Like 8.
He's on mute. You're in timeout. Anyway,
Thomas from the
like
past.
I was saying.
Hear me?
Yeah,
Not
even though
really.
I put you on mute.
It's all delayed. So he said this
Define-
before you put him on mute. It's
Define
it's
privilege.
just coming in.
Anyway, yeah, no one likes me. I've been playing Destiny 2 as well. So I started playing with a character that I created maybe like a year ago. I played it initially, had all the same problems that you guys were just talking about. Like I had no idea where to go at all. Everything was way too complicated. I think the missions that I did hop into, that the enemies were destroying me. Absolutely. I couldn't do anything about it. So I basically gave up on it because it was too hard to hop in. I couldn't even find out how to do the campaigns of any of it,
Yeah,
or
but
if
I
it was
do-
available at that time.
I feel like that's what I'm saying is like I feel like we are a little bit extra hard on Destiny, which obviously there is a problem there. But like if you got into Final Fantasy 14, I feel like the game expects you to invest a little bit of time trying to figure it out. You know, I mean,
Well, the way I feel about it, because I do play Final Fantasy 14 a lot of MMOs actually, and they do a really good job at easing you in. Destiny can use some work there, but I will say, all that to say, I hopped into that character that I had done some things in, and I hopped into that same character, and I was even more lost because I was like, where do I even begin?
Right.
Like,
Look,
what do
and
all
Alfredo-
of these things mean?
and think about this too. I mean, like I was telling Ben, this is not a game that I've never played before. This is a game that I've put probably 800 hours into between Destiny 1 and 2. So it's like, it's not like I'm just a new person that's never played or whatever. I mean, with that said, it was still like very overwhelming, very off-putting.
Yeah.
But the gameplay and the content is so good and you have such a good time that it's worth it.
I agree. Once I Googled how do I play this game, and I figured out how to. I spent a good hour, hour and a half, figuring out, okay, where do I go? What does this mean? What does that mean? How do I play this game? And once I got to, okay, this is how you actually start the campaign. As soon as I started the campaign, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I'm loving all of it. I'm playing it single player right now and playing through the Forsaken campaign and gotten a good bit far into it. And I'm loving the gameplay, especially just coming off of playing Destiny or playing Halo 1. I see like the same gameplay that was their foundation essentially, and I'm seeing a lot of the enemy mechanics that they use, like the shields and the tracking, the seeking projectiles and all of that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see Halo, and this is what it is now, basically, or this is the evolved version of what Halo 1 was. And I really like this. So I'm going to stick with it because it's really fun. And I'm excited to, once I schmooze up to you guys and you guys like me, then maybe we can play together. And we can do a raid or a dungeon or whatever. But good game.
Hey, man,
fun game.
Three people on a fire team. Four's a crowd. All right.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't need you anyway. There you are. Look who decided to show up.
So yeah, I wasn't upset by your comments.
You were sitting here like
Too
this.
late.
I was like,
Too
I
late.
know. It was, I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, as far as my just final thoughts on the traversal and everything, besides that, I thought the traversal was fine. It just, I'm too used to Halo. And so I'm trying to play it like Halo.
With the grappling hook.
Yeah, and also just like Halo, when you're grabbing to a ledge, it just feels more tangible than it does in Destiny. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm here enough. I should be able to grab the ledge, and no, it didn't register at all. So that was going on a lot. But I've gotten, after putting probably 11 hours into it, I'm a lot better. So yeah, that was my thoughts before I froze into oblivion.
Cool. I think we just about covered Destiny while you were gone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
cool. Just wanted to make sure. So let's get into our first topic then, which is kind of a celebration, and we just lost Cole.
Having all the technical issues. He didn't want to talk about it.
He was like, "Fuck Nintendo." What?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Hey,
So
I want to add, Thomas, real quick. What do you think after putting so much time into Halo and playing Destiny? Because I was kind of surprised that you were like so into it after coming off Halo for so long.
it reminds me of when I was playing Halo Infinite's campaign, where it's like, just do whatever, really. Obviously Ben kind of gave us the path to follow, but kind of do it at your own pace. And that's how I kind of felt playing Halo Infinite, where it's just, where Destiny doesn't have an open world per se, there's open world elements to it with each individual planet, and just kind of, if you're going to go do a lost sector, go do that. If you're going to go complete a bounty, go do that. Some bounties require going to strikes, do those. I need to complete the Forsaken campaign, I'm going to do that. There's a lot of freedom there. And that really is what, got its hooks into me. Also, the fact that, truth be told, I don't really care about the story right now. So I'm mostly just playing on mute. So it's a perfect just, chill, sit back, play a podcast, play some music, and just vibe out and play this game. So it speaks to my lifestyle right now. So yeah, I love it. I don't know if I like it more than Halo Infinite. It definitely doesn't piss me off as much as Halo Infinite does, though. That game gets me almost throwing controllers. But yeah, I digress. But that's my overall thoughts on Destiny 2. I guess we're gonna go ahead and get into our our first topic before we get into our main topic, which is Nintendo Switch is selling like crazy. Now, I have a CNBC article that I will quote from, and it's just kind of going over that the Nintendo Switch has topped over 100 million consoles sold, which has surpassed the Nintendo Wii, which is, I knew that would happen. Yeah. I didn't know it would happen so quickly. I had no idea it was going to happen so quickly.
Is it quickly?
I think so.
It's
the
been
Wii
5
was
years, right?
Yeah, but I associate the Wii with just from a sales perspective, like just success. Like it's one of the highest selling consoles of all time. I didn't think this because the Switch still has a lot to go,
Mhm.
And just to kind of put it in perspective, that makes, as far as for game consoles, it is the 5th highest selling game console of all time at this point. Which
If Switch keeps pace and we don't see a
PS2.
replacement Switch, this console looks like it could rival PS2 sales, which topped 140 million, which is
Now,
insane.
That
It's
would be
insane. to think
let me
about.
let me quote the numbers really quick. So because you're right, it is on pace at this moment. Nintendo Switch, which came out in 2017, is at 103.54 million. The one on top of it is the PlayStation 4 in 4th place, ironically. That has sold 116.9 million. So you can imagine within the next couple of years, it's going to overtake that in half the time. You have the Game Boy and Game Boy Color, which is put together. Those are at 118.69 million. It's going to surpass that. The Nintendo DS is where we get into more iffy territory because the Nintendo DS is at 154.02 million. And the PlayStation 2 is the highest selling at 155 million. So I think it can get to the PlayStation 2 and DS, but those are a little more iffy. I'm for sure it's going to overtake PS4 and Game Boy Color.
Sure.
So yeah, what are y'all thoughts on this? This is
So I
pretty
think
big news.
the reason is too is because it's a handheld and a home console. Because look at PlayStation 2. I mean, the second is the DS, and the third is the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color.
Well, they all
That's
if
what
you
gives
look
it
at
the-
all those, you look at all those consoles besides the PlayStation 4, they all have a gimmick of some kind that worked out to their success.
True.
PlayStation 2 was the cheapest DVD player on the market for a good minute. And that got it a lot of sales. My dad had a PS2 and never played a game. He never played a
because
game
it was
on
a
it.
DVD for the DVD.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why it's number one, even though it obviously was a great console and sold really well because it's a great console, but it is the number one selling console, probably because of the DVD factor.
Yeah.
Nintendo DS was kind of a gimmick. It was the first console with 2 screens. It came out at the perfect time. Game Boy and Game Boy Color, you're talking, that's Game Boy is the first Nintendo's first handheld, right?
They were
Yeah.
they were the first handheld game consoles of consequence. There were
Right.
other consoles, but I believe that the Game Boy, I mean, they were certainly the first handheld consoles that could play different games than ones that were preloaded
Right. Game and Watch
Of-
existed
right.
before
of
that.
any consequence.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So it was a gimmick, but it was a good gimmick that stayed.
Yeah.
It created its own industry. So yeah, the fact that it has sold, and I didn't realize it just overtook PlayStation X as well. I didn't realize that as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah, PlayStation X is actually above the Wii, which I didn't know. I didn't realize that.
I
That
don't
is
think
bad.
anybody is particularly surprised that this has happened just because we know the Switch has been selling like hotcakes. But I think the more interesting question is where do we see it stopping exactly because of how they're seeing the Switch and when the Switch 2 does come into place. Because when they had announced these numbers, it was very recently where Nintendo's president, I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm gonna look it out real quick.
Satoru Iwata?
Yeah, Shintaro Furukawa.
Oh, the
I
new
think is how
guy.
you say his name.
The
Yes,
new
the
motherfucker.
Nintendo's president. Hopefully, I did not butcher that name.
I thought you were talking about the
apologize
Bowser
in
guy, but that's
advance.
America.
Oh no.
The
Um,
CEO of America.
But yeah, he recently actually had said, like Ryoshin is saying in our chat, that this is the middle of the Switch's life when he was basically asked about the and giving a answer as to how well Animal Crossing did, and he basically said Switch is doing great. It's in the middle of the Switch's life, so that's what we expect to do even better things. So that kind of is giving an indicator that Switch still has a long way to go even though we're seeing it like with things like, I don't know, Pokemon Legends Arceus not doing so hot with graphics
It's
and falling behind.
struggling against the
Yeah.
Switch. It really is.
Yeah, it's struggling. So
wait.
hearing that it's in the middle of its life
Yeah,
kind of sucks for
but
us.
just to clarify the quote, was he saying that Animal Crossing was released in the middle of the Switch's life? Because that was almost 2 years ago now.
No, he was saying basically it was during a investor meeting, a QA investor meeting, and he was saying we're expecting that Switch is in the middle of its
but
life.
you're also saying that doesn't mean the middle of the Switch's life. The Switch could go well past the Switch 2 or the next generation Nintendo console.
That's
I
true.
mean, they were still making PlayStation 2 games till 2010 or something.
That's true, but
I don't think that
hybrid
means lifespan though. Like I wouldn't count that as lifespan.
because with a hybrid console, it's a little different.
Yeah, but there's no way that it's going to be another 5 or 6 years before the next Nintendo console.
Yeah, that does seem a little
Do not
far-fetched.
bet against Nintendo being Nintendo, please.
I know, but we've thought about this before. The longest they've been between any consoles, it was like 5 or 6 years. No more than 6 years.
Do we think it's possible that, because I mean, like we see the Game Boy and Game Boy Color linked together, do we think the Switch and Switch Pro will be linked together?
Probably. Yeah.
I think it has to be, because
And maybe
it's doing
that's
so
where
well.
the lifespan thing comes from, where it's like
Mhm.
the second half of the lifespan, or at least a quarter of it, is going to be with this Nintendo Switch Pro.
And let's be fair, we're not
Mhm.
getting a Switch Pro till we go to war with China. So, like,
So tomorrow? Sorry, man.
hopefully. Come on, Nintendo. Let this war get rolling, so you can get your goddamn chips from Taiwan. Come on.
I mean, that's a big, honestly, that's a big good point as well. The fact that there is a huge chip shortage that is affecting gaming in general. I'm sure that has somewhat slowed their plans as well. Like, who knows?
That's why
you
they
know?
bought the LCD screens for the OLED model, or the
LED?
OLED screen. Sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry, OLED. You're OLED, yeah.
yeah. That's why they bought those, because they realized that they could sell all of those switches and be good. That's all they need to sell. That's all that they need to sell in the future. So I think we're getting a Switch Pro at some point soon. And I do think it will just be like, the DS, the same model, where it just continues on and continues to like rack up points because it just keeps getting slightly better,
The only question is if we will get Pro exclusive games, and I don't think we will, unfortunately.
No.
There's precedent. There's precedent.
There is, but I think they only released for, what was it, the 3DS Pro? It wasn't
No.
but
I can go farther back. Like, Game Boy Color had exclusive games that were only on the Game Boy Color.
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
yeah.
DS, same thing. Like, you could only play, like, there are certain 3DS games that you can only play on the new 3DS.
Right. Yeah.
They have a
only
history
like
of
2
this.
games.
Right. But I'm saying they have a history of milking a console for as long as they possibly can.
I don't doubt that they won't.
Right.
I agree. I think they will.
And I don't think that there is, like, I don't see these sales slowing down. Like, I just don't see it. So they could potentially, the Switch could end up being the highest selling console of all time within the next 4 years.
I buy it.
I think we all would.
Yeah, I think I would too. Which is crazy, it's surreal, but it makes sense. It seemed like an experiment at the time, but. And do we think that, because we see the Stream Deck coming out, do we think that there are going to be any competitors in this marketplace at all?
Not really.
Yeah,
not really.
The Steam Deck does have a very, very good, I would say a very good, what's the word?
Chance?
Yeah, chance, basic words. Chance, a very good chance at not only competing against Nintendo Switch, but bringing in the PC market crowd. I can see them definitely, like, okay, yeah, I can't speak basic.
Single syllable words.
I was looking for something a little bit more fancy, but fine.
I wasn't even trying to be a dick.
Wow, you guys play Destiny without me, make fun of me. I'm so over this. so
We're anti-bullying, y'all. Anti-bullying.
Uh,
But I would say with the Stream Deck, that thing is going to sell.
Steam
Like
Deck.
I don't think.
the Stream Deck.
Steam Deck.
Hey. Now I'm getting bullied. So the Steam Deck, I think that it is going to sell what it sells regardless of Nintendo. I don't think that it does anything to Nintendo sales. It's completely different.
I think ultimately it's going to be a niche.
Yeah, I think it's going to sell, I don't know, a million
I
first
think
year.
It's going to
Oh.
sell as much as the Sega Game Gear, 10 million.
I think
Pretty
it'll do
bad.
better.
Damn, no, I think that Cole's kind of on the money with that one.
I don't know. I
Because
think it's going to be a
I just-
breakout hit. Honestly,
I
The
don't
Sega
think
Game
so.
Gear honestly kind of was. 10
I
million
think
is not nothing to be.
Yeah,
I mean-
that's not bad at all. And I just think that the majority of people, there's gonna be a segment. I have a friend who really wants one, but why do people game on PC? To have the best experience most times. Like you're not gonna have the best experience playing these games, you know?
However, Steam does have the best repository of indie games. And
Most wide, yeah.
way better
for
than
sure. For sure.
Yes. And that's one of the things that is buoying Nintendo's success right now on Switch. No doubt. The
Mhm.
accessibility of indie games in a handheld format.
Yep.
Mhm.
Imagine being able to play all of those same indie games on your Steam Deck, but subject to Steam sales that Nintendo simply does not, fuck
Dude,
with
with
the
the-
same way.
But
With a
do y'all
bigger
see-
down payment, right? Yeah,
But
I see what you're
Steam,
saying.
this Steam Deck is not going to reach out to mainstream. Nintendo Switch does. I mean,
You're not going to
everybody-
see
no
you're not
kids
gonna
are going
see
to have a
Steam
Steam
Deck
Deck.
commercial.
Not
Yeah, you're not going to see a
colorful.
commercial.
It's not. It's just not. Which
crazy.
honestly, it's
Imagine-
probably.
The kids showing up to school with the Steam Deck, like kids gonna be like, "What is this? What is this? Can you play Mario Kart on it?" No.
No.
Well,
well, you can mod it.
Yeah,
can Stardew Valley.
yeah, that fourth grader knows how to mod.
Right. I know a guy.
I do. That's interesting. I do see that as part of the potential issue with marketing the Steam Deck is that they're almost shooting themselves in the foot a little bit because if you create too much of an association with PC gaming with the Steam Deck, you
It's a
are
turn off.
Yeah, you are creating an association with extra complexity in the gaming experience that a lot of people who are interested in the mobile games market or interested in the portable games market, which is cornered right now by Nintendo Switch, are not going to be, are generally by and large not going to be interested in the complexities of PC gaming that are appealing to people who are within that PC ecosystem. So the more that you marry this idea of it's a handheld PC, it's super moddable, it's super customizable, yada yada yada, people's eyes glaze over. It's like, oh god, I just give me the freaking Nintendo thing where I can plug my cartridge in and it works, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just like
I
the
mean,
Quest, just like the Oculus Quest. That's what I like about
Yeah,
it.
when you
Get it and it
when you
works.
think of those 103 million, how many would you want to guess are for kids? Like how?
Ooh.
Like I would say I'd be generous and say maybe 40%.
I'd say at least half. At
Yeah.
least
And yeah, and it's
think
like
pretty
the
high.
Stream Deck that they're not gonna have any kids playing that thing.
You
I'd
called
say
it the
zero
Stream
kids.
Deck.
It's a Stream Deck to me.
No, it's
zero kids. Zero kids are going to be playing the Stream Deck. It's there now.
That's fair.
Well,
no.
yeah, that's correct.
Honestly, Thomas, I think that's a better name. It actually sounds incredible.
It rolls
Wait,
off the tongue better. I have
You
to
guys
think
got
about
the new
Steam
Stream
Deck.
Deck yet? It sounds like
That
something
sounds
from,
better.
dude. It sounds like it's from the future.
They should pay. They should pay me.
Yeah.
Pay me.
Yeah. Call
That
us up.
rolls off the tongue better, at least for me.
Well, I will be trying to get the Steam Deck talk to me after this year in gaming, makes me poor. But I'm going to try to get one.
Your wallet. I heard your wallet just now. Like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. This is why
So-
credit cards were invented.
Yes, true point. true statement. Any final thoughts on this monumental occasion?
If you had told me this 6 months before the announcement of the Switch, I'd have been like, there is no chance with the state Nintendo was in 6 months before they announced this.
I did. I knew that this was going to be their most successful console because I was like,
no,
this
before
is
they announced
the-
it. Now I'm talking about with the state, like.
Oh,
right
you mean
before they
when the
announced it.
Wii U was the main console and there
Yeah,
was no?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. Yeah.
The next
I agree.
console is going to beat PlayStation 2, probably. That would have been
Oh yeah, no, yeah, for
no
sure.
way.
But when I remember that night when they announced it. I remember watching that thing.
yeah,
I was
everybody did.
I've never been more for a console like I need that immediately.
I know.
Immediately. Like with
Yeah.
the PS5, even when I first saw it, I was like, I could wait. You know, with this, I was like, oh, that's different.
Yep. And when you opened it for the first time, it felt, man, it was nice.
I couldn't even wait till I got home.
Yeah.
I couldn't even wait till I got home. It was an amazing day.
Yep.
But yeah. Praise to Nintendo, Lord Nintendo.
Thanks, Nintendo.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Thanks, Nintendo.
We shall say it at the same time.
Yeah, let's count 3, 2, 1. Thanks,
Thanks,
Nintendo. Cole, take us away with our mailbag.
All right. Alfredo, can you pop it on the screen? I forgot what it
Sure.
was.
I should have gave a better
Will you
warning.
play Destiny with me?
Oh man.
I'll take that as yes. I'll pop it on.
Is that the mailbag? Will you play Destiny?
No,
I
here
will.
it is.
From
Okay.
Duke of Education, please play Destiny with me.
Will you play Destiny?
All right. From Georgia Peach 27.
You don't
What
know if
game-
that G is Georgia Peach.
Hey, I'm assuming we're Georgia Peaches. Me and you are.
Context
It's G
clues. Context clues.
G Peach 27.
G Peaches. This is one of Alfredo's friends has to be Georgia Peach or Mount. What games do you think will get delayed into 2023? I guess this is a comment on the delay of Suicide Squad since that just got delayed.
That was my guess. Yeah.
So what else is going to get delayed? I'm going to say most likely it's Starfield, but whatever.
I think that's a historic date, though.
Microsoft will
It's
not
gonna get-
allow that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think Microsoft's going to let that happen.
Might be a
'Cause
Cyberpunk
their
situation.
slate is looking real dry if that gets delayed.
They got
Oh,
games
man.
in the pipeline.
I
they
think
have
they-
to.
I think they hit it, but I don't think it has anything to do with Microsoft. I think Bethesda. I think you're right, Alfredo. They would be crazy not to hit the 11. What is it? 11, 11, 22.
Yeah,
Is that
something
right?
like that.
The full 11 years after Skyrim's launch. I mean,
Ooh.
you got it. You got it.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, that thing's
Like,
coming
you
broken
do.
or
They would
and
not
Bethesda-
dare
Beth-
put that in the trailer if they weren't going to hit
Right.
it.
Yeah. Bethesda Game Studios does not tend to delay their games either. The developer, they tend to wait to announce them until they know that they're going to hit their date. They didn't with Starfield, so that calls into question whether or not they're going to be able to hit it. But I don't think so. I think Alfredo's right.
Now,
picking
is it going to
safe,
be a
Cole. You're
great
picking
product?
safe.
I don't know.
Good. I hope.
I feel like this has potential to be a Cyberpunk where when it comes out, everyone was so hyped for it, and then bugs everywhere.
Okay, so then I think the
Mhm.
other two are Breath of the Wild or God of War. Which one has a bigger chance of getting delayed?
So Breath
God
of
of
the
War.
Wild is not actually slated
Dated.
for 2022, correct? It just
Yeah.
No,
was
It's
announced.
not
No, they
dated. It's
announced
not
it.
dated. I don't think it's dated.
They announced it. They said come in 2022.
Did they?
I thought it just said coming soon.
Hold on, I'm about to do a
Maybe
check. Keep
we got to
talking.
check this because
I got to fact check it. God of War, on the other hand, is dated for 2022,
And it's
all-
already been delayed from 2021.
right. Yeah, that's true. That's true because that was the first.
It has been confirmed for 2022 release by Nintendo.
Huh?
Okay. Okay.
we go.
when was that confirmed?
It was during their latest financial report, which
Ooh.
was
In January. It would have been January.
in
Right now.
February 3rd.
Wow.
Wow.
So pretty
Okay.
recently.
Just confirmed.
I think that they don't miss
Breaking
that
news.
date. I think that Nintendo's not gonna. I think that thing's gonna be ready.
Okay. So
I
God
don't
of War is
know.
the biggest one.
I think. Well, I mean, I think that's probably gonna hit too. But
Wait, which one? Because you said Starfield.
I said Starfield.
So none of them are going to be delayed.
Well, no. Here's the reason why. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're just off kilter tonight. All right. So I think that Starfield, so much hangs on this game, I can see that getting delayed because we've talked about how much hangs on this game. And if they feel like that's not ready, Microsoft will give them the green light. Hey, you got to push this. You cannot release this like this. We can't have a Cyberpunk, and it would destroy Bethesda. I think so.
That's fair.
I think it's just the most riding on it. That has the we know that they're going to hit God of War. Everything's pretty much done. It's just more of the same. This is a whole new game, and it's very ambitious. Same with Breath of the Wild. They
could see
already
that.
got, they're just building off the back of Breath of the Wild 1. They're gonna.
Sure.
I feel like they're gonna hit that.
For
That's why
me,
I think this is the biggest chance.
For me, I think the one that will definitely get delayed is God of War. I don't see it hitting this year for some reason with all of the other big releases, even though I assume it would be targeted for maybe holiday, but I can see that easily getting pushed a little bit into February-ish timetable.
Did we see gameplay?
Why
of that?
Why exactly do you think it gets delayed?
I think that they'll want it just to polish it up, just that it's not ready. Like, it's not quite right up to PlayStation Studio standards. Like, there's some bugs and more stuff that they need to work on for like an extra month or two that'll push it right into the new year.
Fair enough.
But I'd be happy if I'm wrong, but I think it just gives me that kind of feeling, even though we did actually see gameplay to it somewhat, as opposed to like Starfield, which we only got in CGI trailer kind of deal with. But I think
Fair enough.
that one's getting pushed.
I think it will be fine just because, like Cole said, it's not the most ambitious game ever. It's following it's following basically the same standard that God of War 1 followed. It looks like it's using the same engine. I think it's a different director this time, but besides that, it looks like it's going to pretty much be the same game. I don't think that I think what the development started 2018, like late 2018. So we're talking like a 3-year development cycle. I just don't think that PlayStation. I think it's going to be ready. I think PlayStation's going to want that holiday game because right now they have nothing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any. Yeah, that would be the only one.
So you don't want to go into holiday with nothing. So I think that it's a safe bet. It stays, but it could get delayed. It's possible.
So most likely to get delayed is that I'm saying Starfield. What are y'all saying?
God of War.
God of War.
I'm siding with God of War on this one.
Yeah, God of War has been my pick.
I'm with Breath of the Wild.
We
Better
will
not
see.
be Breath of the Wild. It's on my fantasy list.
On your fantasy draft list.
God of War is on mine, so I definitely can't pick that.
that Starfield's the only game we have not seen gameplay of. We've seen gameplay of God of War and Breath of the Wild. We saw gameplay of Breath of the Wild, what, a year or 2 years ago?
And I guarantee you we will not see gameplay of Starfield
until summer.
Until May or June, yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. That's how they rolled for a long time. They did that with Fallout 4, and that worked out pretty much. I mean, the game wasn't the most critically acclaimed game of all time, but it worked out. It sold well. So I think that Starfield, I think, is going to come out, but I can easily see it getting delayed as well. So I guess the one that won is God of War. So the Dukes of Gaming delayed game of 2022 is God of War Ragnarok, which saddens me. Even though I'm not a big fan of the original game, I really do want that game to come out so I can get my points.
Could happen.
Yeah. I am sad about Suicide Squad, though. We didn't really get to talk about that much.
That's true.
I'm really sad about that. I was really hoping that game was going to come out, even though I had a strong feeling it was going to get delayed.
Yeah, just because it's tied so much to Gotham Knights.
And if that one
is late, then Suicide Squad has to go.
Well, yeah, that's what we all called too. We all said that those are too close.
Yeah,
but I'm excited for Gotham Knights. I can't wait for that game.
I am getting more excited about that every time I see it. So I'm hoping that delivers, and then next year we get a good Suicide Squad game for the first time. So, all right, great mailbag. Thank you, G Peach 27. We're assuming it's Georgia Peach, but if we're wrong, we are sorry. That could be your first name. Maybe your last name's Peach.
Maybe
Guinevere Peach.
Guinevere Peach. Guinevere. Wait, why'd you choose Guinevere?
Well, she's either 27 years old or she was born in 1927.
My mom lives on a street called Guinevere, and that's the only time I've ever heard Guinevere heard.
It was also in the hit TV series.
Guinevere Peach, 1927.
Guinevere Peach. That's hilarious. All right. So let's get into our main topic, and boy, is it a main topic. Now, earlier this week, we had a conversation we're going to release about Sony buying Bungie. Due to this, Sony has laid out a plan to launch 10 live service games by 2026, which makes the Bungie acquisition make a lot more sense. What are
Bungie
our
sweating
initial?
now. This is like they laid a lot on Bungie here, didn't they? Bought Bungie.
Hey,
Hey, we're
I don't
coming
think
out
they're
with 10
sweating.
live-
I
you
think they're
don't
rolling
you
in
don't
the money.
spend $3 billion for nothing, you know.
Yep.
God
Yeah.
dang. From Bungie, I'm like,
and
oh
you're not,
shit.
and if you're not going to get Destiny 2 exclusive, then you know that money has to be made elsewhere.
True.
So, what are our kind of initial thoughts on this?
I
10
love
is a lot.
this. 10 is a
10
lot. I don't know.
games?
I doubt that's gonna happen. I don't know.
I
That's
think we'll get
crazy.
half of these.
Mhm.
Just calling it right now. I think we have.
In the next 4 years.
We have some inkling of some studios that are working on this stuff, and like we've talked about factions.
Yep.
We know
So
two. We know. I think we know two for sure. We know
Naughty Dog
factions,
and
and we know
Insomniac.
Twisted Metal. We know Twisted Metal.
Also, Insomniac is confirmed to be working on some sort of multiplayer game as
Oh
well.
my God.
Wait, wait.
Is that right?
They're
Twist-
monsters.
Do you
Oh my
consider Twisted
God.
Metal a live service game?
I would assume
I
it
think
would
it will
have
be.
to be.
Yeah.
Just playing old Twisted Metal games in the past.
Oh man,
You can't do that in a modern day game without online.
Yeah. And
so
then,
it's gonna have to be a live service game.
yeah,
So-
paired with their initiative to launch live service games specifically, because that's where
I would just consider that a
Gaming is going.
multiplayer game, but I guess all multiplayer games are live service games now, though, right?
Yeah, Now you can, if it's a multiplayer exclusive game, it's a live service game.
I'm willing to bet one of those games is a remake of SOCOM.
Do you think
I bet
so?
it. I think it's gonna be a third person, like a.
Is
like
that
a
what you?
small-
Is that what you want, Cole?
That's what I want so bad. Like that would be one of my most hype moments in gaming history.
That's a good pick.
Uh,
That's a great pick.
but I know,
I
I
think
think
that'd be
it-
a great idea.
They own the IP.
They never said that all 10 of these games were going to be first party. I assume that these
point.
second party deals that they've announced over the past year with Deviation and Firewalk and Jade Raymond Studio. What is her studio called? I forgot.
Ooh. I
What-
forgot as well.
Did they buy that from Amazon or something? What happened with that? She left Amazon and went to a new studio.
No, that was
or-
she was at Stadia.
Oh, that's
And,
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
she left Stadia.
Haven is what it's called. It's called Haven.
Haven,
Pretty
yeah,
studio.
right. So maybe these three studios. I think Deviation definitely. They seem like multiplayer shooter kind of pedigree because it's Call of Duty guys that are heading up that studio, and I think Firewalk was already confirmed to be a multiplayer game. So I think that covers it between factions and those three studios. It covers 4 out of 10 of the games.
I got another one, Sucker Punch. The Ghost.
Yep.
Another one. They were so successful
Mhm.
with that. I bet they're going to go that direction for their next game or Ghost 2 or whatever. That's a direction. Another one that we talked about earlier in the year, but this is third party, is the Assassin's Creed live service game, which that sounds unbelievable. I love the idea of that. Y'all remember that when Ubisoft said the
Yeah.
next Assassin's Creed
Mhm.
was going to be a
In,
live?
Assassin's Creed
Don't remember
Infinity?
that now.
Is that what it's called? I think.
Yeah,
something like
Infinity.
that.
They hadn't showed
Yeah.
anything on it, but
I'm
I don't
sure
know
we're
if
not
it's the
gonna-
next
We're not
one.
going to see that for a while.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I thought that was a pretty good idea too.
Mhm.
So this is all coming from what we think Stadia is going to be, because we assume that these games are going to launch on Stadia.
Is
Stream
Stadia
Deck.
going to be?
Spartacus.
Is Stadia going to be?
Spartacus. Spartacus. So these are all we're thinking going to launch on Spartacus. Do we think that Spartacus is going to? Is this like kind of giving us a little more gauge into what Spartacus is going to be? In your opinion?
Mhm.
I think they're just going for the Game Pass. The
The
Game,
Game
Pass
Pass
thing.
competitor.
So, question: do we think that Horizon might be the last big AAA exclusive Sony game that is released in this $70 just pay on the day?
God
format?
of War.
No,
God of
no,
War.
can't be.
No, dude, no way, dude. I mean, like,
So, we're not going full Xbox.
I
No.
doubt it.
Not yet.
PlayStation has like such a pedigree with these single player games. I don't think they're getting out of that space. I think they just want to broaden and get into new spaces.
Mhm.
And these second party relationships, I think, indicate that they want to like widen the stable rather than like necessarily force their existing studios to go into places that they don't want to go into or not necessarily comfortable going into.
Right.
I think there will definitely still be like the typical Sony PlayStation game going forward. But yeah, I mean, like Jason Schreier was speculating on Bloomberg about like, does PlayStation, day and date release their new first party games the way that Xbox does?
No way.
Yeah, if they don't, like, how do they counterbalance and offer value? And maybe these 10 live service games are part of that answer.
Well, and why not get it ready? Have Spartacus out. If people are still buying their games at 70, then they're still selling gangbusters. Why not? All you have to do is just pivot. If it's built out, then at the point where it makes sense or where they need to put it all in Spartacus to compete with Game Pass, then just like that. Hey, from here going forward, every first party PlayStation game is coming to Game Pass, coming to Spartacus.
Yeah, I agree with
But
y'all.
ride it until you have to make that switch, and you can make the switch overnight if it's built out.
I kind of view this, what Sony's saying here, with we're going to make 10 new live services games, or the fact that we're going into live services, different from Project Spartacus, because it really seems like, kind of like Ben was saying, we're going into this direction, whereas before we are PlayStation, we focused on single player games specifically, and we're really damn good at it. And now we see the gaming industry shifting to a more live service. We have games like Genshin Impact that like made crazy revenue, free to play game. We have Destiny that went free to play, that's doing extremely well, and now it's part of Sony.
Fortnite, Rocket League,
Fortnite.
Yeah, everything is doing it.
The king.
And they see the money in that, and the fact that gamers want this. Like, they don't just want single player, and PlayStation has to get with the program. So I think that Spartacus will be something individual, something like Game Pass, but not quite as good still. I still don't know what exactly it will be, but I do think that these live service plans will be more of the, okay, it's free to play, here's the cosmetics, things you can get for like typical live service-y kind of stuff, but do it in the right way. And that's where Bungie comes into the picture, because they've been doing it and they're doing it well, to the point where gamers respect that the way they're doing it. They're not making it pay to win, they're making it things that gamers actually want. So I do think that the live service plans, I think 10 is a little bit ambitious, very ambitious, and I don't know if they're going to hit that per se. But I think it could be really interesting seeing what PlayStation, Sony, who does stories really well, and seeing how they integrate with live services and seeing how they can put their PlayStation spin on it.
Well, it's such like a cool, like the way Destiny does it with the new content coming out. It's like, it's almost like your favorite show is the new season's coming out, like whatever, like Netflix drops a new season of Stranger Things. Well, Destiny's dropping their new season and their new storyline or whatever for the Witch Queen. And everybody gets back in, they're anticipating it. They get their characters ready. It comes out, you can play through it. You might stick around for a little bit, or you might drop it until 6 months later when the next expansion comes out and you get excited to hop back in.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a happy medium between what Game Pass is and what Nintendo Switch Online is. We're really, with Nintendo Switch Online, we're talking about the bare minimum. They do the absolute bare minimum.
This is true.
And,
so I think so. And the thing is, with Sony, you can argue they have as many classic games as Nintendo has. If you really go back from PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, there is a lot of games that they can put out on that service. And they can just do it monthly. You can put Ape Escape. You got Sly Cooper. You have the Soulcom series.
Yeah,
like, there's so many games that
Please bring back Warhawk. God damn.
So, yeah, I don't think they need to release their games day and day. I think if they release a good amount of their classic games and then just keep releasing new ones monthly, that will keep people entertained enough. That you already got a
Mhm.
subscriber in me.
Look, we forgot one of the biggest examples of online games as a service, Grand Theft Auto. We don't ever really think about it as a game as a service, but it is. No, when they drop the new heist,
That's
they
true.
drop the
It's
Dr.
good,
Dre
sir.
stuff. No, it is, and they drop it all free, and it's basically a $20 shark card to get in. Basically, is what
It's
costs.
one of the biggest live services.
It
for
is.
sure.
I-
Yeah.
honestly,
For sure,
probably
on consoles.
behind Fortnite, it may be the biggest money making.
The only
Live
thing that
service.
I guess I'm concerned about is like overcrowding the live service like industry, I guess, because
Well-
saying, okay, us Sony, we're gonna put out 10 games of our own by 2026, and I can guarantee all 10 of those won't exactly stick, but it will get to
But
a
it's-
point where
But
It's
the wording's weird to me though, because would you say that Microsoft or Xbox Game Pass launched like Back for Blood?
Look, imagine this.
Like, is that kind of what they're saying? Like, are there going to be games that are exclusive? They're not exclusive to our platform, but is that considered in that as
Well-
well? Like, I don't know. The language is a little
yeah,
kind
that's
of.
fair.
I don't because it doesn't say PlayStation exclusive live service games. I don't believe.
Yeah.
Look, if you look at Halo 1, 2, and 3, and it was just Halo a live service, and they had the expansion release packs, just like Destiny, what's the difference? It could have been Halo the live service and Halo 1, 2, and 3, or Assassin's Creed the live service, the French edition, the Unity game, and then whatever, all this. You're going to Odyssey, and it's just a live service game with new
I
content
do-
dropping.
I
Madden.
do take.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I do take your point, Alfredo. Though, and it has been persuasive to me in the past, but I look at the current landscape and having been thinking about this concept of when are we reaching too many live services,
Mhm.
and looking at live services that haven't stuck around, like Avengers is an example, or Anthem. Those are kind of confirming examples that there's only so much room, and yet at the
Mhm.
same time, look at all the counter examples of new live services that have popped up in recent years. You just mentioned one. Genshin is one. Fortnite is one. Final Fantasy 14 in a bit, even though it's been around for a long time, its massive popularity
Mhm.
is one. I think I kind of group MMOs and live services into something of a similar maybe a meta category that combines both of
I
them.
think that's fair.
So it seems like there is room for a lot of these. There's probably room for more. They just have to reach a certain quality bar. They just have to reach a certain expectation bar. And once they surpass that, they can seemingly live on in perpetuity.
I think that's my concern, though, because
Yeah.
you coming out and saying, okay, we're going to do 10 games by 2026. I don't know do you guys think that Sony is able to make 10 different high quality Sony quality
No.
live service games in space where they haven't done it, even with Bungie's help? Like, do you guys think that?
No, I think
I
we
don't
get-
think that's possible.
I think 3
No,
of
I
these will be
think-
great.
Yeah, I
7
think,
will be-
but Ben's point about those second studios, like not first party, I think that is true. I think that it's not going to just be relying on the first party studios. It's going to be a lot of those second party relationships. And like I said, I don't know if this is saying PlayStation exclusive games. That's
Yeah.
another thing. Like I didn't see that.
That's
in the
true.
article.
And what if we're not thinking about this exactly correctly? What if part of this is like, okay, Gran Turismo 7 is going to be a live service. You guys just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Right,
That's going to be our
true.
first
That's fair.
one. And
That's
what
a
if
good
this
point.
is like MLB The Show is going to start being a live service? So now we're going to introduce sports games as a live
See,
service.
that's an
They-
interesting.
they should
That's an
be.
interesting one because that would be in the definition, but it would also be on Xbox as well. So it's interesting. Like maybe some of these games might also be on Game Pass as well, which is interesting to think about too.
Now I'm worried that Stranger of Paradise, the new Final Fantasy game, is going to be a live service.
Well,
game.
to me, the worry is that the
can see it
quality
being
goes.
man. I hope not. I hope not.
To me, the worry is that the quality goes down, like the
It will
Assassin's Creed thing. Like if you have the Assassin's Creed as a service, is it just going to be like an expansion pack and not a true sequel that we would have got if it wasn't a live service?
Well,
Is
I
Like, how do
mean,
you?
in
Right.
that case, Assassin's Creed has been a live service game for a while now because we've gotten Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed Odyssey. We've gotten, what was the one before that?
Are those live
Origins?
service games? As
No,
much
no,
They
as just-
definitely are. Yeah,
Or
they
just have
have
microtransactions?
they have
I'm
microtransactions.
genuinely asking.
up.
I'm genuinely, but is a game that has microtransactions, does that automatically make it a live service game?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No, Origins.
But-
Thank you. Yeah,
A live
Assassin's Creed
service,
Origins.
I picture a game that changes over time or adds
Yeah.
on
Right.
expansions over
So-
time. Like
And
multiple
Assassin's
expansions.
Creed has been doing that. They have expansion packs. They have
Got it.
season passes. They have all of that.
Got it. Yeah, I was genuinely asked. I never
Mhm.
played the new.
Yeah, but I'm
ones. Okay.
talking more like if it's Assassin's Creed and like then they have Origins, is that if it's a live service, are they gonna try less on Origins because they know they don't really have to put as much effort into it, and it's just another chapter and it's smaller.
I think that with Assassin's Creed specifically, they've learned what not to do and what to do because they were one of the first people who were like, we're gonna introduce microtransactions. We're gonna make live Assassin's Creed a live service game. And when they first started doing that, people didn't like it. They were doing it very distastefully. Like they had microtransactions for leveling up in the actual game. They had like it was pay to win, kind of pay to progress. And now they've gotten to a point where, okay, we hear what you're saying. We're not going to make these yearly installments. We're going to really make the expansion packs meaningful.
Yeah.
We're not going to have it pay to win and pay to progress anymore. We're taking those out. So even Ubisoft, who has been doing this with Assassin's Creed for a couple years now, they're still learning and innovating on it.
Yeah, and they've been innovating for a while. I mean, I might be wrong on this, but I remember Assassin's Creed 2 being one of the first games to my memory that had DLC. Like I believe that it was I remember it was the first time I'd ever bought DLC. You can add more to the game after it's released. That was a new concept to me at the time. And so yeah, I think that Assassin's Creed definitely has been a trailblazer in that. And I'm interested to see where they go with Infinity. My last question in regards to this: do we think all this is day and date for PC? Like, do we think the Spartacus is going to be a PC thing, like how Game Pass is?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's
Though
I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
It's a big infrastructure change because how many of the games that are going to be on Spartacus run on PC?
That's a good point.
It's an open question. I think there's plenty of third-party games where they could just request of the third party, hey, use your PC. We're licensing the PC version of the game. Oh my God, it sounds like a licensing nightmare. I really like the idea, and PS Now is already on PC, which is why I think it's intriguing. It is, but it's only streaming, and it's all streaming from PS4s and PS3s. So there is no PC version of the game accessible through PS Now in which you can download on PC.
This might be ignorant of me, but it seems like Microsoft answered this question with money. Like, it seemed impossible to do this. It seemed impossible. Like, at a time, like, I remember back, like, 2018 or 2019, when they first announced Game Pass, and it seemed impossible. It's like, and we also announced the backwards compatibility for all their games. Like, that seemed impossible, but they figured it out. Is this something that we're confident that Sony might have figured out? Because, I mean, they already have the blueprint that Microsoft has laid out. Like, Game Pass on PC, while it doesn't have every single game, it has a lot of games.
I think if I think Sony's behind Microsoft on this.
Yeah.
But 4 years behind them?
No, probably not that far, but
I would not expect...
I'm saying like it's been like 4 years since Game Pass was, launched with the backwards compatibility and everything.
But in terms of like PC game availability for PlayStation, this is completely uncharted territory for them, and it's not uncharted territory for Xbox. Windows gaming has been a thing since like the mid 2000s, right? And then that got rebranded as Xbox on PC years ago. So you've been able to buy PC games through an Xbox interface on PC for a long time. I think, well before Game Pass was a thing. So they already had the infrastructure there. It was like, okay, let's take our existing agreements and let's, talk to these developers and these publishers and let's build out a PC ecosystem of Game Pass that lives alongside the Xbox ecosystem of Game Pass. PlayStation would have to build it from the ground up. It doesn't exist right now. Or they partner with Epic Game Store, which they own a minority stake of, and who have already built out the infrastructure. Maybe there's something like that.
That'd be
That's a
huge.
good point. That's a good point.
That's a good point. Yeah,
But
It's a very good point.
It is a much heavier lift for Sony. I would not expect a PC equivalent to Spartacus anytime within the first year. Certainly, probably beyond that.
Going along with that, because in their statement of saying we're going to make all these live service games, they also said we're going to make a commitment to get in spaces that we haven't traditionally gotten into. And when they were specifically talking about God of War and how well the PC port did recently, a couple months back, then they saw the money, how much it did, how much it made, and that's when they said we're going to do this more. So God of War and Horizon before that were kind of like them dipping their toes in the water of seeing, okay, how can we get into the PC world with our games? And they see the money's there, so they're definitely going to do it. But as far as how they can do it and how fast they can get that infrastructure up and running, like Ben is saying, who knows? I definitely don't think Spartacus will be PC PC when it first launches. I think that's an eventual goal for them, but I think they'll get it down eventually.
Got it. Glad I asked. So yeah, any final thoughts that we have about this new development? I mean, it obviously is kind of branching from the early, news that Bungie is now acquired by Sony, and they're obviously going to be assisting in some capacity with I assume some of these 10 games. So any final thoughts?
Give us more PC games. PC port specifically.
Hey, maybe we'll be playing Sly Cooper on PC one day, 60 frames, 4K, maybe one day. But thank you all for listening and watching the Dukes of Gaming. Again, listen to us on your favorite podcast service or watch us on YouTube. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. You can even email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com. Have your question read live on air in our mailbag. We will be coming at you next week with some hot takes. Hit the bell as well for notifications. And with all that being said, thank you for watching, and I bid thee farewell.
I have a question. This is not the end of the show yet.
Okay.
I have a quick shout out, actually, because recently I was a guest on someone else's podcast called Tales from the Backlog, where Jackson basically takes all kind of backlog games that he hasn't gotten a chance to play, and he does a deep dive into all of those games. So think Ben's Book Club. If you haven't done that, check that out. But he does it for just various games. So we were talking about this little indie game called The Messenger, and he just posted that episode last week. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. Again, it's called Tales from the Backlog.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Okay, now you can leave.
And for real, we bid thee farewell.